Hey folks. Oh, well, I've had a wonderful start to the week. And I had a really beautiful session this morning with a dear friend of mine who's working on a major creative project. And it's just such an amazing thing to witness. When someone is just leaning right into their soul's calling, it's so amazing to see. And something that I've been reflecting on is, I've talked about this before, but the nature of resistance and what resistance even is on the one hand, and then what a truly kind of integrated and enlightened, for lack of a better word, approach to resistance looks like. Because on one level, resistance is always something that we're going to be slightly inclined to want to repel, whether we sort of actively avoid thinking about it, or whether we kind of frame it in the affirmative, which is sort of the trick we learn as we get better and better at doing inner work. We learn to frame it in the affirmative. But in some weird way, there can still be, I'm not saying there always is, but there can still be a tendency to want that resistance to go away. I mean, how could we not, almost, right? Just the fact that there is resistance in our experience, however it comes up, kind of indicates there's road left to travel, right? It indicates there's somewhere left to go on the way to even more freedom. And I think the thing that is showing up for me is, on some level, I want to get to a place where I can be so friendly with my resistance that I actually treat it like an ally. Because on some weird level, our resistance is actually it's hard to say our resistance is our purpose, but our resistance is the doorway to our purpose. Because if you think about it, let's say we have a goal we want to do, a creative project, whatever it is, something we want to achieve, something we feel drawn to, we feel moved, our soul wants to do this. Well, on some level, that thing is simply a step. It's almost like that thing is like the MacGuffin that's leading us on a pathway of evolution that's gonna go right past that thing. That thing is not the goal. That thing is just like a flashing beacon that we're drawn to travel towards until we get there. At which point, most likely by the time we get there, we will have already sort of moved past it, or if not, we will very shortly thereafter move past it in terms of what we're leaning into next. So the actual outcomes are very temporary. They're changing. As we accomplish one, we move on to the next. Resistance is constant. Resistance is always there. It's like a dear friend that we get to hold tight and be connected to. I'm saying this kind of tongue in cheek, but on some level, isn't it interesting that our resistance is something that may be constant in our life? And even though we consider it something negative, it's in other words, it's kind of like, it's the friction point, it's the thing that's stopping us, appearing to stop us from getting to the thing we want. Isn't it also kind of like one of the most reliable gauges of where we want to head? You know, provided that we're not encountering resistance because we're like way off track, which can happen. So I guess you got to know your resistance. But provided that that's not the case, provided that this is the natural sort of like evolutionary friction of growing, of transcending, of moving into the next level of our life, if that's what we're experiencing, then that friction is like nectar. That friction is like, here we are on the edge. And so, rather than tell ourselves, I'm not experiencing resistance, or I know I can overcome my resistance, or I know my resistance is just resistance, I just need to get on with it. You know, there are all these ways, especially once we start to work with it, that we can become accustomed to viewing and dealing with it, and kind of like how we cope, how we integrate. But isn't it interesting that there might be a level on which the best thing we can do would be not to explain either that we don't have it, or that we know we can overcome it, or that we know we're going to get past it, but actually to just befriend it, almost like like a teacher, like a tough love teacher, like a teacher who gives you that kind of love that's like, that kind of love that you appreciate, but you might not ask for. think what I'm trying to frame for myself is a way of, as I do things like install the practice of doing a weekly cabaret, right? It's like a level up from doing a daily post. On some level, it's a level up. On another level, it's not necessarily a level up, but it's a slightly larger thing when it comes around. And because resistance is so ubiquitous to that process, I'm trying to find a way of being able to be so playful that even the resistance becomes like this friendly force, where it's not, where even the experience, and it's something that I guess a lot of it is perspective, a lot of it is presence of mind, because when that voice says, who are you to do this? You're not good enough. What are you, what do you even think? You can, you can laugh at it, laugh with it, and say, thank you. Now I know I'm on track. It's like you can kind of take it. We know how to spin. We know how to embrace and how to absorb and respond to it. And I think, as I go further and further down the road with both colleagues, students, peers, friends who are doing deep creative work, this is just one of the domains that I feel like it's just one of the most profound lessons we can learn. How to step into that resistance and just enjoy it. That feeling of when that feeling of like shutdown comes on, we can go, oh, here we go. It's almost like if you wanted to work out in the gym, but there were no weights in the gym, and then suddenly someone put a giant heavy weight in front of you, and you'd be like, yes, finally a heavy weight. Now I can work out. It's like I don't know what the analogy is, but it's like if that exercise, that next level, if you needed the thing to grab hold of and do the work with, and it just wasn't around, that would be like if there was no resistance, right? If there was just no resistance, you couldn't get the workout. But we go to the gym because somebody leaves a bunch of heavy stuff laying around there for us to pick up. So we go to the gym to literally find resistance. I think that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm going for. Turning that resistance into a gym. And the nice thing is we all have tons of it. We all have the most beautifully outfitted home gym. We probably have a whole wing of the house devoted to it. We have more resistance training opportunities than we know what to do with without spending a penny. No monthly subscription, just free. See what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. Like getting there with resistance and being able to kind of live there. I think that's where I'm at today. So, thanks for watching, folks. Love you so much. Appreciate you. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you very soon.